Hey, it's Engraver here. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to start the video today with a question. Can you learn too much? Now, I'm an incurable learner. I'm also a music educator. Actually, I'm not a formal music educator. I'm a private music teacher or violin instructor. I can also teach piano a little bit, and I'm starting to teach voice. So I love learning. I love teaching. I love the education. I love receiving an education. Now, I'm not even talking about formal education, general education at school, higher education in college. But I wonder, can we learn too much? Can we have too much education, too much personal education even? And I would say the answer is yes. I think our culture is somewhat addicted to receiving a lot of input, a lot of instruction, especially in the way of podcasts, of online courses, and I'm not knocking online courses because I'd like to start one myself, but it's going to be very specific to violin in the future. But that's besides the point. But people love going on YouTube videos. YouTube is great for education. You can get a lot of learning for free from people who are pros, masters of their craft. And so you can get a lot of good feedback, a lot of good input, and you can learn a lot. But you can go too far with your learning if you don't apply the skill you're learning. So we're getting into the new year. At the time of this recording, it's just a little before Christmas. New Year's is around the corner. I think when I publish this video, it'll be in the month of January. So January is really that time. It's a time to reset and refocus and get educated again, whatever that may be. And so a lot of commentators and a lot of content creators are going to get back into teaching and telling you things, telling you what to think, telling you what is important to know. And this could be very useful things, things like, how to make a YouTube video, for instance. I mean, that's kind of an arbitrary example. Or for me, I would like to show people more videos on Logic Pro and SuperCollider. But even with me, especially with things like remixing and remastering, I would say mastering tracks, mastering music. That's a skill I'd like to learn a lot more this year. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to be going to those videos. I'm going to be looking at a lot of tutorials on how to mix and master my tracks in Logic Pro. And the temptation, in our culture, the temptation is to just binge watch, just binge on instruction videos, binge on learning at the expense of actually applying what you're learning. So I've channeled in that discipline. I know how to look at a video and refer to that video in the process of my project, in the process of getting better at my skill of remixing or not remixing, mixing and mastering music. I don't binge. I've made it a very important goal, a personal goal, where I'm not binging on educational videos. Why? Well, we tend to waste our time with our education. We tend not to want to apply what we've learned, what we've been given. We don't want to apply that awesome feedback, when people comment on the video saying, "This was wonderful instruction. I'm so inspired." And then they don't do anything about it. The important thing is you get the instruction and then you apply it. And my recommendation is that you apply it as immediate as possible, like immediately. As soon as possible. So if it's a video where you are learning a new skill and you have the ability, you have the resources, you have the equipment, or maybe you don't need anything, but you can actually apply what you've learned from that video, that instruction, and get to the task at hand right away or within that day. Maybe you watch the video in the morning and then you apply that skill in the evening. Maybe you go to work, you have a shift in between. And I would say that that's very important. I think my favorite kind of student as a music teacher, people who actually practice. Well, that is my favorite kind of student, people who practice my instruction. But what they do is they'll take my weekly instruction, they'll write down some certain notes on technique, and then they will practice. Usually it's my adults because of their schedule. They will practice 15 minutes in the morning, go to work on a project. Maybe they're retired. They'll pay someone a visit. Maybe they will come back after lunch, play another 30 minutes, do another thing, go garden, go run a shift, and then practice another 20 minutes. And then that's their practice for the day. But they do get better because they do that 4 to 5 days a week. And I see improvement as a teacher. They apply what I instruct. And I apply what instruction is given to me by something like YouTube, by something like a Logic Pro tutorial, like a really good channel that does Logic Pro or SuperCollider. Back in the day, I used to binge on Eli Fieldsteel's SuperCollider videos because they're very informative, but I had to be in the project while listening to him. Sometimes I would just binge. And if you're not careful, you can forget not just what the instructor says, but you can forget the code. You can forget the syntax. You can forget all the things that make that thing so, and, set it in motion with your own tasks. So I think you can learn too much. I'm not even talking about like how much capacity your brain has. I'm not talking about how much input you can receive. You could receive a lot of input, but I do believe that you can waste time with instruction. I say that as a teacher and as a learner. You can waste time. What you have to do is to pretty much, it's kind of like compound interest. You have to invest in that piece of instruction and then apply it and then watch it grow exponentially. Now, it will take time. You might not see results of your practice for several weeks, maybe months. In my case, with some things, it's been close to 8 or 9 years regarding my music, and I still have a lot to learn. But the whole point is, it's application. That's what sets things in motion. Now, why I bring this up, this might not be a big deal to some people. Maybe it's obvious to others. But I bring this up because culturally speaking, especially in the YouTube sphere, people will praise you to high heavens for saying, yes, this is the instruction I need. Thank you. Just what I needed. But then if there's like a podcast that keeps churning up the same material every week, they say the same things every week or something like that. And then the people say, yes, absolutely, I'm going to start next month. You inspire me and stuff like that. This is just one example of many. But in the YouTube sphere, where education is everywhere, free education is everywhere even, people will say, thank you, I needed this video. And then they'll, maybe 2 years, 3 years down the road, they'll keep binging on these people's videos, but they won't apply their instruction. I'll go to maybe it's content creation, for instance, and then people say, yes, I learned so much from you. Yes, I see those gold nuggets of information, and then maybe they don't have anything to show for it, So I don't want that to be you. I don't want that to be anyone, in this sphere, listening to me. Thank you for listening and watching. But do know that it's going to be pretty apparent where your results are going to be if you apply the instruction. So what's a good pace? Maybe where I would say if it's a huge learning curve, I would say, start with the fundamentals and really apply. Let's say in the way of video formats, it's like an online course or it's tutorials on YouTube or something. Go between 3 to 4 videos, 5 videos. Maybe at the very start, watch 3 to 5 videos a week on instruction, but immediately set it to practice. So for however much you watch your videos, put that same amount of time, or at least a comparable amount of time, to your actual practice, to the actual application. So let's say you start, with Eli Fieldsteel's SuperCollider tutorials. Really, I would just say 1 tutorial video of his, and then write out that code and practice it. And then just spend a lot of time practicing the code, practicing what he instructed. So at the start, if you're a beginner, I would say to keep the inspiration going, to keep the momentum going, because it's not part of your routine. Okay, yeah, look into 2 to 4, maybe 5 videos a week with the application process and apply that. If you cannot give the same amount of time for the application of the instruction, for the practice from what you've been instructed, then I would say I'd pare down the number to 1 to 2 videos per week, and then practice a lot of those first 2 videos. Now, that might be an arbitrary number. It depends on just how much is contained in a single video. A class lecture is between 60 and 90 minutes twice a week. Practice what was in that lecture every day of that week. For my students, I say, hey, listen, you need to practice 5 or 6 days a week. Maybe have a day off, but practice 15 to 30 minutes every day, 5 days a week, at least 5 days a week. And if you can, practice 5 minutes one time of the day, practice 15 minutes another time of the day, practice half an hour another time of the day. That's going to help. So it's the practice. Your practice is the best education you can give yourself. It's not how much content you can consume. It's not how much instruction you can check off the list saying, I took this course. Okay, well, what do you have to show for it? See, you have to show something to yourself or to a loved one or to a community saying, okay, I've learned this. I took this instruction and I've applied it this way. Here are the results. Look for results. Have results for a weekly thing, a monthly thing. And I would say this, just put the pen down, stop taking notes if you're not practicing. So you can take too many notes. You can binge watch way too many educational content videos. Practice. Always, always practice. And then reward yourself with another instruction video. Thanks so much for watching and listening. I will catch you later.